Apple unveiling new products and features at today's highly anticipated event in San Jose. What do investors have to say? Well, let's ask one. Formula Capital founder James Altucher joins us now from New York. James,
Thanks,
good to
Aaron.
see you as always.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me on the show.
So, James, what do you make of all this? I understand that the call's not over, so we're getting more information, but what you've seen and heard so far?
Well, it's exactly how we all expected. So there's no real new news here. This is very unlike a Steve Jobs event where there's sort of some surprise features or news that we didn't expect, and it's voila, and the stock goes up. Here, we've pretty much expected an iPad mini with all these specs. There's nothing really new. It's essentially a smaller iPad 2. It's great. It's going to sell a lot. But what I'd really like to see, and which they're not doing, is a side-by-side comparison with the new Kindle Fire that's coming out November 20th. It's already been announced. And I actually think it compares unfavorably to that Kindle. And Simon, as you know, I'm a longtime Apple fan. I'm going to buy this iPad mini, but I'm also getting the new Kindle Fire, and I think that's probably a better device.
That's interesting because you have been pretty up on this company. So why do you think Apple has fallen short here? They're pretty good at staying ahead of the pack, or they have been historically.
Well, I think because Apple depends on margins on their hardware, whereas Amazon doesn't care about the margins on the hardware. They sell all their hardware at break even, and they count on margins for the content. So that's giving Amazon finally a little bit of leeway in terms of what features they're going to offer. For instance, take the Kindle Fire, which is a little bit bigger than this iPad mini, but the new Kindle Fire that's coming out is going to have Dolby speakers. It's going to have 2 antennas. Also has the 4G LTE. Has less glare on the screen. Has a bigger library of content. I think this is going to be going into the Christmas season. This is going to put out a brutal fight with the iPad mini.
Okay, I love brutal fights and capitalism. Stay with us, James. We're going to have a listen to something that happened earlier when the iPad mini was announced.
This is iPad mini. Look how thin that is. Amazing. Here, let me tell you a lot.
Okay, that's the first look at the iPad mini there. That was in San Jose just moments ago. James, you say that that is going to compare unfavorably, or you think it might compare unfavorably with the new Kindle Fire. Will the new Kindle Fire be as cool as that, though? Because that looked cool, and coolness is something that Apple does rather well.
Coolness is something that Apple does well, and there was a lot of applause there. Let's not forget the little bit of the applause was a little bit of relief, just that all the reporters in the audience haven't been reporting the wrong rumors. It turns out the rumors are true. There's an iPad mini with these features. But again, I'd like to see 2 antennas, which makes your Wi-Fi downloading faster. I'd like to see greater sound, which the iPad does not have and the new Kindle Fire is going to have. They both have 4G LTE. The screen resolution is probably about similar. The battery life doesn't impress me on the iPad mini. It's essentially the same as the iPad 2. Look, I'm going to buy an iPad mini. I'm also going to buy a Kindle Fire, but I think it's going to be a battle between the two about which one people will use ultimately. Kindle Fire is going to be a little bit more cheaper when you look pound for pound on the features.
So the iPad mini, the low-end one is going to be $329, 16 gigabytes. It goes on sale Friday. Is that cheap enough? Does that to get to the level of impulse buy?
Well, 16 gigabytes is not quite enough, too. How many movies is that? It's maybe like 3 or 4 movies plus all your apps. So people are going to end up buying the 32 gigabyte, and we're waiting to see, I think, on the pricing on that. That hasn't been announced yet.
Okay, so it's sorry, I got that wrong earlier. It's pre-orders Friday, and it will be available November 20th, and we'll see. And you're going to be buying all of these. Wow.
Yeah, so I've already ordered 2 Kindle Fires for the November 20th. I will be getting the iPad mini also. I like the form factor of the iPad mini, smaller. Again, the web browsing is the only tricky issue on a smaller iPad. This is what Steve Jobs was always worried about. But the resolution is such that I think they've solved that problem. But again, there's glare, there's speed of downloading, there's the sound, which I don't think is that great on the iPad 2. I think it's going to be much better on the Kindle Fire. And while there's more apps in the iTunes store, I think there's more content in the Kindle store. So I think this is going to be a battle to the death in Christmas.
Great stuff. Well, you know I love bare knuckle capitalism, so battles duke it out is always great. Thank you very much, James Altucher, Managing Director and
Thanks,
founder
Simon.
of Formula Capital. Always a pleasure there.